Hello, everybody. We are here. I'm so sorry for the delay. We had a few technical issues. It happens, but we are live with our third Q&A, all about patch 17.1. We're going to be joined with some of the incredible devs once again. But first up, I just want to say thank you for everybody who has already tuned in to this patch. I've been getting some really great feedback across Discord, Reddit, all the social medias, and it's wonderful to see the positive reaction we've had for this. But I also want to say as well, there's also been a great response to what is going to be coming a little bit later after this Q&A, and that is going to be our next Best of the Community episode. We're going to be joined by the Fresh Baked Goods going over some incredible community clips, which I cannot wait to share with everybody. But for now, we are going to get in with this Q&A today, and I am joined once again by Craig, Carl, and James. And unfortunately, Ian, who was meant to be here, has unfortunately had to pull out at the last minute. So he has been replaced with a lovely poster. But everybody, welcome to the stream. How are you excited for this afternoon's questions and answers?
Are you talking to me here?
I am indeed, yeah.
You know what? You know what? I'm always excited about questions, somewhat of answers, but always questions.
I mean, Carl, you obviously were here for both of the last Q&As, both the what have I forgot? The roadmap one and the Tobruk one. How have you found patch 17.1 so far?
Yeah, very exciting. You know, it's very different for in a lot of ways because we don't have any new maps as such, but it's broken down into so many cool quality of life features that I think there's something in there for everybody, and I think that's really, really special to me. So yeah, like really, really happy with the patch itself. Really interested in seeing the response from players, and really excited to play it with you guys.
Amazing, James. Yourself, patch 17.1. Is there any particular parts that you've been most excited by?
I'm gonna have to say the MG improvements. I play machine gun myself quite a lot, and yeah, I think the team have done a fantastic job. It's so much more robust to deploy around all the maps. So yeah, really enjoying it. My biggest problem with it now is every time I try and join a squad, someone's already took the machine gunner, so I'm hopping between squads trying to find a free machine gunner role. But yeah.
Well, if anybody needs a machine gunner, be sure to hiss up James. I'm sure that he'll be able to hold it down for you. But we're not going to be talking about machine guns just yet. We're actually going to go into one of the slightly different updates that has come, and that is going to be the medic changes that have happened. It's been a big request. I think the community, obviously, a lot of them love the medic role, but it's maybe felt like a little bit underpowered and a lot of difficulties that people have had with it. So some changes came. And I mean, first up, it'd be just great for yourself just to talk about maybe some of those changes that did come, just for those of you who maybe haven't seen the patch notes and maybe would like a little bit of an understanding about what came with those medic changes.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing we had to address was the loadouts on the medic. Players have often felt like they don't have enough of an arsenal to defend themselves. Obviously, the medic is not an oppressive class as such, but you need enough sort of firepower just to get you into the heat of battle, if that makes sense. So that was one thing we wanted to address immediately. The second part is we needed a cool feedback loop, I think, between a down player and yourself as the medic. I think, you know, you've got yourself in a squad situation where you can talk to each other. That's cool. But oftentimes you are running as a medic to heal somebody who maybe is perhaps 500, 600 meters away. There's no proxy chat within that range. So you've got to then rely on looking at the TAC map for a medic to decide whether they're coming for you or not. So the ping system was very important to implement to support that loop. And yeah, basically making the adjustments to their speeds as well. Like we felt that the medic was rather slow, sluggish. There's a risk reward element to medic, but we felt that the speeds were too slow, so we decided to improve those. And then a nice quality of life change, I think a lot of people have agreed has landed well, is the fact that we've streamlined it a bit. So now as a medic, you know, when you revive somebody, it's to full health. You don't have to then go through the laborious process of bandaging, but you still have that bandage kit with you if you need it to help the injured players among Battlefield as well. Yeah, so for me, those were the biggest changes, and I think we've done a really good job of balancing that out. So play medic, say what you think, give us some feedback.
Amazing. Well, first question that we have got coming up comes from one of our favorite Discord members, and that is going to be Sam, who has got some questions just about ticketing and any plans to add some type of local tickets to fight the possibility of having endless meat grinds. Tickets, for instance, that could be stored in spawn points or tied to blue and red territory.
Yeah, so tickets comes up quite often. It's quite a divisive subject, as I noticed within the community, but it's a very valid question nevertheless. What I would say at this point, there's no plans to add any local tickets, but I think what we need to do is prove it out as a concept first on a larger scale, like with a global ticketing system. I think we just need to go through that process first. So with that in mind, we are developing a prototype for a new mode called Conquest Mode, which I'd love to share with you guys in the upcoming weeks and months. That does feature a global ticketing system. And I think if we can prove out that concept first, I think then we can roll it out to the more minute nuances of the game. So in this instance, perhaps spawns, right? I think we need to unlock the code base of the spawn system to do that as well, because it's really rigid at the moment. You'll have noticed on RCON, for example, where we've added the ability to control the warm-up timer, we haven't done that for offensive mode yet. And that's purely because it runs off the global spawn wave system. So I think the first steps are to unlock that system first, introduce global tickets as a concept, and if we find that that works, we could then add that to the spawn wave system and potentially unlock those problems that we have with it.
Incredible. Well, I hope that for those of you who are wanting some some of those local tickets, that does answer and hopefully gets you a little bit excited about the conquest. I can see quite a few people. The captain said that that's pretty cool. I'm liking that idea. So yes, it's great to hear that you've got some ideas coming in the future potentially for some ticketing. Next up. I know another request is being asked a lot. Ryan GoFet has asked, for instance, is there any opportunity to add body dragging for medics? I know this is one I see a lot.
Smiling. I'm going to scare Craig with this answer. No, the short answer is we cannot do that currently with this engine version because the physics system does not support it. But we could do it if we take a UE5 upgrade. So there could be a wild opportunity there to push for that, Craig and James.
Nudge, nudge there, Craig. Hint, hint.
Oh, well, moving on there quickly for Craig's benefit. Mandible Jones has come in with a first, I love the planned changes for the medic in the new update, which is great to see. Somebody loving those changes. They also, are there any plans with just ammo count for the American and German medic classes, as they have significantly smaller ammo pools than the British and Soviet classes? And then follows it up with, would it be possible to update the barrack screens to include information regarding suppression reduction granted to friendly players while being near a medic? I will pass that one over to yourself, Cole.
Yeah, absolutely. So you may have seen in the changelog already, we have adjusted the loadouts for the medic across all factions. Actually, we've slightly nerfed the British and buffed the Germans, the Soviets, and the US. So hopefully that provides a more a better balance for the class. I'm a big fan of the smoke grenades, so it's great to see those added to the loadouts. It's it's great for comp scene as well. So yeah, more smoke, more smoke, more smoke. It's great stuff. As for the loadout screen, so we are planning in multiple UI refreshes throughout the year. This will be rolled out gradually throughout the game, and stuff like that is a great idea to sort of add to the overall experience of the loadout screen. Nice little nuances to the game, because I know the suppression mechanic is featured in the field manual, but you have to navigate through several menus to get to that. I think, if you have information like that on the fly, could be pretty cool. So yeah, we'll definitely consider it as part of the UI refresh work that we're doing throughout the year.
Amazing. Next up, we have got a question just regarding keybind for the medic role. Obviously, we've now got this new system where you're able to ping a medic, please come to me, and the medics are able to see that. And Corporal Moore asks, is there the possibility to have a keybind where the medic is able to say that I'm en route, just so that down player knows that I'm coming. You don't have to toggle the the voice and somebody screaming, "I'm coming, I'm coming." Is there a way to create a keybind like that?
Possibly in the future, yeah. What I would say is we have to be mindful about controller because we don't have a lot of space for controllers. But that is why it's currently tied to the ping system. So I think what we need to do is do some further exploration about how we could potentially split that out, so that it's still free flowing for players on controller, but also allows PC players to keybind it as they want to.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much to everybody who asked any medic related questions. Craig and James, I don't know if there was any further medic stuff that you'd like to raise before we move on to our next topic.
No, I think that from the medic side of things, I think Carl's hit the nail on the head. In all honesty, I think we've been also one thing to raise is we're also still looking at feedback that's come through on Discord as well. What people are saying, and I know Carl making notes, any things that we need to change going forward. What I would say is it's not a one and done thing. With games development, it's never one and done. So once we've made something, those are the changes we want to see. We then look at what feedback is coming from the community and then iterate on top of it. We don't want to leave something stagnated for a while. It's just going to be to keep pushing further and further. I did have a question I did want to answer on the chat as well, but James, I didn't know if you had anything first on the medic side.
No, just play medic. We love medics. Medic.
What was that question
Cool.
that you saw there, Craig? Then
There was a question which was essentially updates on DDoS and issues, and I did want to kind of answer this one as well because I know there's a few servers, a few streamers that have been getting attacked with some DDoSing attacks from different members of the community or different players. I'm currently working with GSPs to resolve this, Kwanzaa in particular as well. Have been also really helpful with me to kind of get this sorted. In terms of gameplay side, it's not something we can actively do a lot on because it's all from the back-end server side, really technically. So it's about bolstering the DDoS protection that each of our GSPs offer to essentially help eradicate this. I said it's not just a Hell Let Loose specific issue. I know that a lot of other people or other titles have had something similar as well. But I'm really working with the GSPs to make sure that we eradicate that and get rid of it where possible because it's not nice. It's not a nice thing to happen to any player, especially when you're in a really good game and something like that happens.
100%. Well, I hope that a lot of you have seen obviously the DDoS. It's not only in this chat; it has obviously been coming across other social medias as well. So hopefully that reassures a lot of the players out there. As we are now going to be moving on to our next topic, and that is going to be James's favorite, which is of course going to be all about Bipods and the MG upgrades. First up, I mean, you've already touched on it, James, in terms of that there's been some changes, but why don't you just sort of maybe go in for those who maybe haven't seen anything in the patch notes yet about what those specific changes might have included?
Sure. So our code team have done a lot of work to make the bipod more robust on what you can deploy on, and so you can deploy from lower down as well. Previously, it was quite fiddly trying to get it on. Now you can kind of come up low behind and deploy up onto it and then pop up. There's been a lot of work on the range of movement as well. There was a lot of instances previously where you'd deploy and you just wouldn't be able to move. So there's been a lot of code wizardry. I don't know exactly what was done, but a lot of work to make sure it was more robust with being able to rotate left and right, up and down. And yeah, it feels so much better to play, in my opinion. I'm having so much more fun as an MG. Can't tell you the amount of times in the past where I deployed and it would just get stuck, and then I get headshot, and I'd be like, oh god. Right. So yeah.
Well, first question is going to be all about obviously the bipod rework and also potentially some future bipod additions. This question comes from both Soul Sniper and Teeny Weeny, who asks a little bit about will bipods come to additional weapons like the bar and the FG42? Seems like the initial phase was simply making the bipods less frustrating and finicky. Is an awesome change. And are there any plans to add bipods and new functionality to other weapons as well?
Yeah, quite right. It's an iterative process. The work that Cord have done have made it more robust. and that does give us the opportunity to add it to new weapons. So my colleague James Lenoble promised something in a previous Q&A about
did.
certain weapons
Yeah, I
getting
did.
a bipod. Yes, the FG42 is getting a bipod. That's going to be rolled out at some point, TBD. This year, I'm hoping, since promises were made, James.
Yeah. Well, I can give an update on where we're up to with all that if you
Oh,
want.
that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
can also confirm that the BAR is also getting a bipod as requested. That will just be for the machine gunner class. So automatic rifleman players will still have the option to not deploy with it. We feel like from a tonal point of view that makes sense, given how heavy MGs were back in the war. James, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so what I would say is the hard surface artwork on the FG42 is now complete. We are currently looking at the bar, and those weapons will be passed over to animations, to a full suite of animations to support them. So they are very much on our radar for this year, and yeah, I can't wait to get them in, get them tested, make sure they're balanced, and then into the weapon pool.
Perfect. Well, I can see a lot of people saying, nice, we're loving this. The bar, they're very happy. So looking forward to when those finally get added. As also, I realized as well that also Matt Vander also asked that question over on Insta, where lots of people asking about the bar and the FG42. So it's great to hear from that. We do also have a question that came in from Croat as well, who has dropped a message into the chat as well, just wanting to know how sort of feedback from the PTE was implemented into the new bipod system. I don't know if that would be one for yourself, Craig, or
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah, I literally was looking at it and I saw Crow pop up in chat as well about it. I was saying that he's enjoying it, which is really good. I think one of the big things is nothing's ever going to be 100% correct. What we needed to fundamentally do was rework the entire bipod system so it could be fixed, essentially. So it could be changed. If anything does come up from the community that needs to be changed, we can actually now do that. So, like we said earlier in this chat, fundamentally ground up, reworked it so it actually can be a bit more modular, which is cool. And then after we did that, we got the feedback through from the VDOT forms, spent maybe a good couple of hours one day going through, filtering through it, sending it back over to the programming team to implement any of the feedback that came from that. So if we found areas where it just working correctly, anything that wasn't right, we made changes based off of the feedback. So that's really, really important to us, is you're jumping into the PTEs, you're giving the feedback. We're not ignoring it. We spend hours and hours creating the dev briefs and these forms just so people can give us the feedback and we can make changes. I think one of the big ones was the 360ing of the bipod that we looked at and went, right, yeah, let's tweak that. So it was really appreciated. And then, like I said, we made the changes, sent it back out. And I don't think at this point we're not done basically with that now. We know what we've done is we've put the actual the structure in there so it works and it will do what we need it to do. But not only that, if it doesn't work in certain areas, we would like players to tell us and say, look, I used to be able to do it in this area. I used to be able to control the game in this area. I can't do that anymore. Help us. And essentially we'll take that information, send it back to the program team. And if we think it's a viable spot, we'll try and fix it. But now we actually have the tools to fix it.
that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So everybody who likes bipods and loves machine gun, there is a lot to be happy with, I'm sure. Anything you guys would like to finish up on the bipods before we move on to our next section?
I think one thing just to bear in mind, as we've said already, is that it is an iterative process. It's obviously a lot better. It's allowed us to free up the system. There will be some edge cases that we will need to fix on a case by case basis. I mean, as you can all appreciate, these maps are huge. But any examples of that, do send them over, and we will fix them as soon as we can, because we've got the code base in place now to fix them really easily. Like, sometimes it'll take code 5 minutes to fix it, or depending on what the issue is, it might take me 5 minutes to fix it. It's not a problem. We're here to make this as strong as we possibly can, because it is a rework, and hopefully it's a positive rework. So yeah, do send your feedback in, do send your screenshots, badger the life out of me if you need to. We'll get it fixed.
Well, there you go, folks. Keep on submitting your feedback. I know that in the Discord we've just opened up a new feedback channel, which is under the P17.1 feedback. Keep putting your stuff in there. Chuck stuff up on Reddit. We'll be able to get more feedback going. I know that's something that us as a team are wanting to do a little bit more in terms of showing face. So hopefully down the line you'll start to see a little bit more as well coming from the dev team, which I'm excited to share with you more. Maybe on our next dev stream. But next up, though, we are going to be moving away from the bipods, and we're going to go over to admin, cam, and RCON as well. And for some reason, it's not coming up on the screen right there. There we go. Admin, cam, and RCON. Lots of changes that went on in the admin cam department. And the first question comes from Das Altberg, one of our war correspondents. And he asks, while I see the admin cam improvements, like the admin cam lighting effects, he says, great feature there. I wonder if you took any inspiration, because we all know that Das loves some effects on his admin cam work. But he says, one thing I'm curious about is that there was a bug in update 17 with the admin cam sliding effect not working properly. If you dampen the sliding, it only reduces it horizontally, but not vertically. Therefore, people in admin cam still zoom up and down when moving. Will this be fixed for 17.1?
Yep, short answer. Absolutely, it is fixed. Yeah, so yeah, that's it to wrap up. No, so by moving the slide up to maximum, you've got the previous movement that you had before, so you can create those nice cinematic shots. It's really cool. And if those players who did like the sliding effect, turn that slider right down, it works horizontally and vertically, zooming in and out. It's perfect. It's not, but if you have any feedback on it, do let us know. We'll make some tweaks if needed.
Amazing. Anything on the lighting effects there, Craig?
Lighting effects are cool. I always like going around taking pictures of everything. No, it was something really cool. It's going to allow people to make content a lot nicer, a lot cleaner. They can use really cool lighting effects. Everyone gets access to admin camera via the explore menu now as well, which is awesome. And I think as soon as that got added into the title, I maybe spent longer than I should have just going into every single map, finding a really cool area to get and take a picture and create my own little wallpapers. Especially now we've added the ability to fully remove you in admin camera, you to really go in and take cool pictures. Now, the lighting effects that we've added to there are just the list. There could be a lot more. There's just enough lighting effects that we could add at some point. I know if Ian was here, he would stop me. But there's a lot.
I think
It's
if
a cool
Ian was
feature.
here, he'd tell you that sepia is his favourite.
Sepia is Ian's favourite.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd love to see some photography competitions in the future, maybe,
Oh.
Ben. That's a little idea.
that's a great shout, particularly now that we've got the explore mode. Obviously, people are able to
Yeah.
jump in of themselves and get into admin cam as well, which is obviously a great feature that came with patch 17.1. So if people will be interested, maybe we'll open up a photography competition in the admin cam. I will bear that in mind.
Can I enter it? Can I enter the photography contest? Can I win?
You know what?
So-
I've seen so many images from you, Craig, coming through on the Discord. Just look at this photo, and you know what? I reckon you've got a chance. You've definitely got a chance.
9:30 last night, I was there, rum in hand, just like, yeah.
Well, I hope everybody else is going to be enjoying the admin cam changes and obviously the explore feature as well that has come. As we're going to move on to another question. This is more about RCON. Again, coming from Sam over on Discord, and he asks, are there any plans to add hardcore server RCON settings or different modes available to server owners?
Funnily enough, I've been speccing this out just this week. They're writing up a design spec for it. So what I would say is that, I want us to test out conquest mode because that does actually feature a couple of these proposed settings. I did see the post from Sam. Thank you for that. So I'd like us to test conquest mode out first because I think that's a really cool way to sort of introduce the possibility of validating those sort of settings. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. There's no lost work because what we could do is introduce a hardcore mode sort of preset on RCON. I think with something like this, I'd be reluctant to roll all these settings out individually because you do risk alienating new players to the game where they're server hopping from server to server. They see all these different settings and it can get a bit convoluted. But I think if we had these under one hardcore mode preset that you just turn it on and off, that could be really cool. And we are continuously adding new RCON features, as you've seen. So we've started off slow with the timers and things like that. We are going to revisit what gameplay options we can bring to Hell Let Loose this year. So a hardcore mode is not off the table because it's a really cool idea, and yeah, we'll consider it.
Amazing. Well, I love to hear that. Obviously, just giving the community different options to play the game how they want, which is always a great thing to see. Quick question regarding the admin cam filters: Is there? Could you add numbers or names to the filters on the screen when filtering through? Is that a possibility?
Anything's a possibility.
Yeah, it was a possibility. That'd be.
What do you say, James? Go on, say it.
We
We're
are
only
the dream
limited.
makers.
We're
We're only
only
limited
limited.
by our own imaginations.
Exactly. Exactly.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah, once again, we are doing like additional UI updates throughout the year, so that could be a nice quality of life thing we add to the feature. Cool.
Perfect. Well, next up, again, sticking with the RCON theme, this comes from Wanix, who asks, how can we change the timer for warfare mode? Can we separate the match timer to make it longer during seeding once the player count is more than 40 players? Next games will be the normal 90-minute mark. Just questions about the match timer. I know that somebody else also asked about how do you use the match timers. Is there something you guys can talk about in those changes for the RCON?
Yeah, so the Archon V2, just to give everyone a lowdown, people that aren't server owners may not know, is Archon is a tool that we give to server owners, which allows them to have control over certain aspects of the game, be that the map rotation, what modes are being played, allow to VIP people, kick people, ban people, do all that cool stuff. Part of the work that we're doing at the moment is moving away from the old version of to the new version of which is V2, which a lot of the server owners have been using for a while now. And this is because it's allowing us to add a lot more of this cool stuff that you've seen come to the title, especially via the articles. So this one, particularly being the match timer, is really interesting. It's one of the big pieces of we added in specifically to give a lot more power to the server owners. How it works is essentially you choose the match timer and the timer, the actual warm up. You then set it and it then restarts the server. Next one, you will have that setting set up. You'll have your whatever you wanted the warfare timer to be. If you wanted it to be an hour, if you wanted it to be 30 minutes, and whatever you wanted that actual warm up timer to be. I think those are added, and that's how it currently works. I know the programmer who's working on our V2 version of Archon has got a lot more to go over with it. He's also working with the custom Archon devs as well to make sure that they update the custom versions of Archon with the same stuff as early as possible. So yeah, that's kind of how it works at the moment. There's also the ability to choose if you would like to have the weather on. So we added dynamic weather as part of Purple Heart Lane originally, and then we added it to Brook. And you can decide now. He's like, if I don't want to have the dynamic, turn it off. So it's about again giving a lot more customization to server owners. So when you get into a map, it doesn't feel different, but it doesn't feel like it's not Hell Let Loose, but it feels slightly different because people can have these kind of controls. In a long-winded way, hopefully that answers the original question, which was how do you do the match time controller? It is effectively you get the Archon V2, you then choose what you'd like the settings to be on your server, and next one.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Greg. It's great to just hear about all the changes that are coming, and I hope that those of you who are server owners or just like to play on fun servers are excited about what's going to be coming in the future, as well as already what has come in this update. Next up, obviously, we've been speaking about Archon there. The next question would have been a lot of this would have been answered by Ian. I don't know how much you guys are going to be able to fill in for him with him away. It's all going to be about VFX, the weather and LODs and such. Are you guys going to be able to answer just a little bit on his behalf?
We could answer the VFX and SFX.
Okay,
questions.
perfect. So first one comes in from Guillaume. He asks about the status of VFX and SFX. Obviously, in the roadmap Q&A, Ian, obviously he was meant to be here, mentioned that things were going to be coming in the future regarding VFX. He just wants to know what the progress is on this.
Yeah, it's progressing really well. So one of the big things we want to look at is the VFX on the armor system, because they could do with a touch up, and across the board on the game. So like a lot of our fire particle effects and things like that, um, they could do with, bringing a bit more up to date, bit more performant, bit more modern. I think everybody wins from that. We get nicer looking maps. The maps also run better. So we're currently working our way through each individual map and just fixing them up as much as we can. It's gone really well. I would expect to see an update in 1 or 2 dev briefs time, I would say, because we're making good headway. And with us committing to that sort of 2 week, 4 week cadence of dev briefs, you should hopefully see that progress really shortly.
I mean, it's definitely been something I've been enjoying, the dev brief. More regularity coming to the community, and I hope that everybody in stream right now or watching this back on YouTube when the VOD goes up tomorrow has been enjoying a little bit more regular cadence of those dev briefs, which hopefully will be improving even more as time goes on. Next up, though, is going to be a question about the fog and plans to address the dynamic weather bug when the fog all disappears at the same time in a transition. Is there any has that been updated with 17.1, or is that something that will be coming later down the line?
Yeah, that bug's been plaguing us for a while, hasn't
Mhm.
it? um, I don't actually know the status of this. What is the status? Last I heard, we were looking for really solid repro steps on it, because it is very hit and miss. I know we've seen it on Tobruk quite often, but basically we're trying to isolate what the issue is here. There's some sort of sync issue somewhere on the network. So yeah, that's where we're at currently. We're trying to repro it,
Yeah.
confidently before we can put a fix in.
Yeah, and I mean, you're 100% correct. We just need the full repro steps for it. At the minute, it can happen sometimes. Sometimes it can't happen. I know when we've been doing it, it's been really difficult for us to even see it happen. But the thing is, you get 100 people testing something will only happen 1 in 100 times, but you then pull that out to thousands and thousands of people, and it's going to happen a lot more frequently, or it can happen a lot more frequently.
Amazing. Next up is going to stick with the fog theme, and I know that there are a lot of fog enjoyers out there. I've got quite a few, even just here in this question, just about the old fog to the new fog systems we've had. People like Shine Reaper, Duke Nukem. We've also got a few people in chat as well, such as Spears, who are just talking about how they liked the old fog more, particularly, for instance, like Kursk Night Map. That's what they said. Spears in chat says that's what made the map so great. And they were just wondering what was the reasoning between going from the sort of the old fog to what has come in patch 17.1. And then there was also a question just about maybe making the fog more dynamic, such as using the weather system. Is that a possibility?
Yep, absolutely a possibility. It's another great quality of life idea. I don't see why we shouldn't, to be honest, because fog is, in particular, is another one of those polarizing aspects. Some people love it, some people hate it. So it makes sense for us to just give the community a bunch of presets or make it dynamic and say, hey, have at it. If you love fog, whack the fog on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys. Are you fog lovers or fog enjoyers? I don't know. Fog lovers, but that's the same thing. Fog lovers or fog haters, I mean.
I think it's great.
On who we're fighting, right? Yeah, I mean, it depends on what side of the situation am I on. Am I the one attacking into the fog, or am I getting seen in the background shooting people from the fog?
So I mean, I can see here. I hate fog. I love fog. It is a little bit of a polarizing feature. Obviously, some of those maps were just tuned down a little bit with this latest update, but it's good to hear potentially a dynamic feature might be able to come in the future. Moving away from the fog and the weather, it's just a question from Cap just regarding the render distance on buildings and anything on hit registration as well. So this is more sort of VFX hit reg related. I don't know who.
You, Craig.
I
One for you, Craig.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was just doing Kevin think about that one. So hit reg is something they're aware of. Believe the programming team at least believe it. That it's mostly related to ping. That isn't just your ping. So even if you look on the server and you say, "Hey, I've got 20 ping. I'm not lagging at all. It's the server side as well. So when we have seen this happen, it has been more so server related. So the programming team are currently doing a lot of work behind the scenes to optimize how servers run. And by optimizing how servers run, we should be able to eliminate any kind of hit reg issues similar to this. Because we do find that they are server related and your connection to the server. So yeah, by basically optimizing that, we can hopefully get rid of any of these situations.
And anything just regarding the sort of render distance on buildings. I know that obviously there were some updates to the LODs recently on the barbed wire front.
Yeah, I forgot that Ian wasn't here. I was about to look and go, oh yeah, Ian can talk about LODs. Yeah, no, Ian's doing a lot of really good work on the actual LODs, especially pink buildings in Carentan. And over that, I think we've still had one or two reports of certain ones that can be seen when entering admin cam. Effectively, a lot of these need to be done on a case-by-case basis, especially when we're looking at legacy maps and how assets are certainly built up. With the newer maps, the teams spend a lot of time making sure that the LODs aren't as harsh. But when you look at some old maps, one of the reasons we're doing a refresh on Stalingrad is by basically optimizing assets so they can load in and load out further. The map's really big. It's 2 kilometers. They're huge. So they're going to need to load out for performance reasons, but to make it so it's not as harsh, essentially, is what we need to do.
Brilliant. Last question, I believe, coming in this section here is just going to be about ADS lag or FPS drop while using controller on PC. And some people also mentioned it on mouse and keyboard, but they were just wondering if this is something that you guys have picked up.
Yeah, so again, the programming team, we looked at one of the issues of one of the instances of this, and when using the PC, it can happen. There's a stuff when ADSing. We believe we fixed the initial issue of this, but it's seeming that there's a secondary issue which the programming team are going to need to look into. But yeah, we've seen it. It's something that our customer support team have raised to us as well. Like I said, we believed, I think it was in update 17, we fixed the initial version of this, but it seems that something else is out happening on the back end. So reproducing this and trying to get it fixed by programmers is on the list 100%.
That's good to hear. For all of you controller enjoyers, hopefully there'll be something coming down the line for you. But we're going to move on to a topic it's related to 17.1. And that is going to be the PTEs. Obviously, there was a PTE that happened for 17.1 a little bit earlier in the month. And then likewise, we also had a slightly different PTE come with the objective mode. So I think first up, it would be great to just sort of hear if there were sort of any particular sort of feedback in particular that you took from the PTE, maybe for update 17.1 that came into the final release. Was there anything in particular that you listened to in community that came out into the update?
Yeah, the biggest one for me was the medic ping system. It was very touch and go, I'll be honest. It was very down to the wire whether it would actually make it into 17.1. But we realized from the PT feedback that we needed it. It couldn't really ship without it. So we reorganized some tasks around and made sure that we got it in and made sure that we could iterate on it so that we could polish it to the best that we could at the time. So I think that for me was the strongest one that we did. What about you, Craig? I'll put you on the spot now.
Oh, yeah, I want to say it's also the bipod, because not the bipod, the medic system and that ping system. Because I remember like a few days before we even locked off the entire build, we were looking at that going, we need to get it done, and we didn't have like some of the UI in place. I'm like, all right, well, people are loving it. They really like this. We were planning it for the next update, but we need it in. So yeah, I think getting that prioritized in was really, really important. I also think, again, like I said before, the bipod and like getting a lot of that feedback. There's essentially, I don't want to give this one person all the credit, but there's a programmer took ownership of this entire new rework for the bipod, and he basically looked through every bit of feedback and made changes and tweaks just so it could live up to what people expected it to be. And I'm glad that even people who didn't like it initially have come back now and seen the changes that have been made based off of their feedback and going, you know what, this is a good thing. So that's always good. It's always gratifying to see the positives, and people saying like this actually works. It's really nice and it makes people really happy.
Oh, that's really great to see.
Absolutely.
I know that there's one thing as well that in the PTE, the new explore mode, for instance, that was in a slightly different place within the menu. You guys moved it into the training area, which I know that a lot of people have appreciated. And Rubber Duck's actually just come in the chat. Welcome, Rubber Duck. I believe we're going to be seeing one of your clips a little bit later in the Best of the Community. I'm looking forward to showing that off to everybody. But he has asked, sorry that I'm a little bit late. Is there anything, is there the opportunity to add Commander to become available in Explore mode at some point? I know that a lot of people were wanting to jump in and use the Commander abilities. Is that something that could be possible?
Yeah, I think it's critical that Commander comes to it at some point. As you say, it's a very important role. Not everybody gets to play Commander in a live game, so Explore mode is the perfect opportunity for them to do that. Test out the mechanics of Commander, the nuances of it in a safe environment. That's what Explore mode was built for. So yeah, absolutely. We haven't scoped out when that's going to come, but it is coming to Explore mode without a doubt.
What was the reason in which it didn't come initially? Was it just sort of limitations of the server, or?
I can tell this one if you want, Carl.
Go for it,
Yeah.
Craig.
It fundamentally didn't. We had it in originally. It caused a lot more issues. This is why it was kind of de-scoped out a little bit, because it causes issues, especially with how the game's set up. So, as we all know, Hell is not an offline game; it's an online game. How we have to create explore servers or explore games is via a different type of server, a different type of instance. And when we were using certain mechanics that were supposed to function in an online game, such as all that is given to a commander, it didn't work. So we're going to need to rewrite how certain things are done to make it actually work in that game mode. Like I said, originally, Carl, correct me if I'm wrong, it was in there, and we were planning for it to be in there at launch. We just ran into issues that we couldn't resolve, especially within the time and the scope that we had for this one. So this is why it needed to take its back burner, and we wanted to make sure that players had a really good version of Explore as soon as possible, and then we can iterate on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I Killer Rockies just added again. I just regarding, are we going to be able to use different factions rather than just the allies as well? I'm guessing that would just be a similar thing with the commander.
Yeah, again, it's another critical part of what Explore was meant to do.
Mhm.
That's why you've got both sides HQs to spawn on, because eventually you want to bring the other forces to them.
Perfect. Well, I hope that everybody's enjoying the Explore mode. It's a great addition to the game with this latest patch. As we're going to be moving on to away from the 17.1 PTE and onto the objective mode. Obviously, Carl, you were heavily involved in this one, and it'll be great to hear. Spears in the chat has asked, what was the overall player feedback on the objective mode? And will it potentially be implemented to the game as well?
Yeah, so the consensus from the objective mode PT was pretty clear that there isn't much appetite in Hell Let Loose for small maps, but this wasn't a failure by any means because the mechanics were well received. And there is an opportunity there for us to potentially roll those mechanics out into offensive mode, for example. So I know people liked the floor of Phased that we did for Danzig, where you have one objective, which is to destroy the generators, and then that moves on to a capture point. The mechanics of that could feasibly be added to offensive mode in the future because, with a large scale environment, what is it James always says? We are only limited by our imagination, right? So we can probably cater each map around these mechanics as well. So, Hill 400, for example, you've got that large bunker on one of the capture points. Your objective could be related to that, having to blow that up, for example. The possibilities are endless with it, really.
It's great to see. We had obviously Das Altberg was mentioning that there was loads of competitive map games that they played on the PTE and the objective mode. Thank you to all those clans who got involved in the PTE. Obviously getting to play on the different maps as well, and some of them also getting to play obviously on that Danzig map that was very early in development. So it was great to see people just getting the opportunity to see something that was initially created and just get that chance to see it for the first time. But as we are now going to be moving on now away from the PTEs and on to just other questions, because there's a lot of variety of questions, not all of them fitting within a certain theme. Some of this might be stuff that's maybe coming in the future, stuff that maybe wasn't in this patch necessarily, but we wanted to answer the questions anyway. So first up is going to be coming from JG51, who says, will there be something coming up for joystick movement for vehicles? I'd love to be able to drive my tank realistically, as well as being able to fine-tune turning in trucks. And also in tanks and armored vehicles, they'd like the ability to swing my gun with a joystick to be able to control the speed that they traverse and elevate with. Is this something that you guys would be able to do in the future?
So that's part of the armor rework, I guess. So with the armor rework, we are looking at holistic changes alongside how the actual tanks behave. So what I mean by that is how it interacts with the environment, how the environment reacts to it, and how players control it as well, fundamentally. So what I would say to that is we will look at like certainly different controller layouts that could support that type of gameplay, because I myself like to control the tank that way. So I can certainly understand the appeal for it. What we'll do is we'll capture that as part of the holistic changes that we're looking to bring to the armor rework, and hopefully we should be able to, get that in. There's no coders here to say no to me, so it's fine. We'll just do it.
All of the coders watching stream, we apologize. No, but yeah, obviously armor reworks coming a little bit later in the year. Really looking forward to seeing how those go. As we're speaking of reworks, we're gonna just turn to the Stalingrad rework. I can see some people in chat talking about Stalingrad. Sparta was one of those on Discord who says the Stalingrad rework and the details added to the book are great. Are there any plans to rework other maps, such as Mortain or some of the areas on Elsenborn, but also just how is the rework going with Stalingrad?
Yeah, the rework's going really well. Hats off to Lucy, my level designer, who's taken ownership of that, and the incredible art team she's got working with her. They're doing a fantastic job. It's really night and day already how different Stalingrad looks. We focused on the central capture points, as you'll have seen in one of the previous dev briefs. We're currently wrapping up the blockout pass on all of the capture points now. So they've all had a cover pass, a storytelling pass. It's playing really well. Hoping to get the war correspondence into a PT very shortly on that. But as for the question about map refreshes, I mean, as long as the appetite's there, we're up for doing them. Always are, because we're breathing fresh life into not just legacy maps, but even our own. If the community want us to spend a few months on Mortain, we can do that. It's not a problem. I know there was a lot of interest in Mortain on opening the cathedral up and the church up. If there's an appetite for that, let's do it. Sounds good. Not for this year. I just went. I saw Craig sweating a bit there. But yeah, we could
Jesus.
That's fine. We'll refresh 3 of them this year, Craig. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Easy. But yeah, as always, we'll consider it. Yeah. Just let us know which ones you want remastering. We'll do it.
I mean, it's always something that as a team and as a community, we're wanting to listen to what you guys have to say. Obviously, not going to be able to get everything in because some of them will require larger reworks. But it's definitely just keep on putting your suggestions in there. It's always great to hear that. I just think regarding the Stalingrad, is Stalingrad going to be the next one? Am I right in thinking that the next update will be Stalingrad?
They will indeed, yes.
It will indeed. Nice. So for all of you
Oh,
looking,
what are you leaking it for?
Oh no! Oh no! What have I done?
yeah.
Yes, so we're hoping to get a war correspondent PT out very shortly. I don't know when we're doing the PTE on Stalingrad just yet, to be honest. That's one for my fellow producers here could maybe answer that. But we're hoping to get it out as soon as we can, really, to get some feedback so we can make any changes that we need to.
I know that internally, I joined in with the last internal PT. I'm definitely going to join Stalingrad. I can't wait for the
Oh, that was
community to
br-
play it.
that,
That was good.
that was tough.
It was
That was tough,
really
wasn't
tough.
it?
I was on
It
your
was really
team.
It's
tough.
no
Oh my
longer
gosh.
it's no longer Stalin lag, it's Stalin rad, is
Oh,
what
it
we've been
is.
saying.
Definitely.
And we're all Stalin glad that it's getting
We're,
fixed.
Oh,
we're
you've gone too
I'm
far
going now.
now, Craig. You've gone
Ugh.
too far.
Oh,
Get your
oh.
coat.
I think we've got the trailer for the live stream sorted there. So we're going on to our next question, and this is going to be about bugs. Marty has asked, why are there so many bugs that have been reported that's not been fixed yet? I know that I've already alluded to the potential to us as a dev and a community manager that are basically starting to answer some of those a little bit more, and I'll hopefully be able to give you a bit more of an update. But just from the sort of bug side and reporting, how does that work with you guys?
Craig, do you want to go first?
Yeah, let's go first. So,
Cool.
yeah, as you alluded to, Ben, we are looking at how we do that and how we have the devs interact more with the community. So, effectively, the system is it gets reported to our customer support team here at Team 17, who then put a ticket in. Our QA team then need to reproduce the bug, a bug in, which then gets assigned out during what's called a bug triage, where effectively we look at any of the new bugs that come through and then assign it to a fixed version. Now, in some cases, in some rare cases, a bug could be obscure. We don't know what it is. The details, it doesn't give us as much detail, so it could take our QA team longer to reproduce, or it could be something hardware specific, or it could be something that requires a multitude of things to happen prior to it actually happening, or working, or it could be something that's just a 1 out of 100 times this thing could happen. That's kind of like, as I said, to get back on point, we then go through any of the bugs that come from the player base and we then assign them out, and then they get fixed for an update, and then that's what kind of collates the entire changelog of bug fixes. That's the big important bit. Going on to what we're going to be doing, it's essentially giving the devs a little bit more power. They're looking at the Discords, the Reddits, Twitter threads, seeing what people are talking about. We then kind of communicate with QA from that point as well, who make sure we can get the bug reproduced and then get it assigned out. So basically, what we want to do, this may be stealing some of Ben's thunder, is kind of then report back to you once we've found something based on what you've said. If we fixed it, or if we're planning to fix it, on how we're planning to fix it, or if we need a bit more information, because sometimes we need a bit more information, especially if it's not as clear what the issue is.
That's great. So I can see somebody in the chat saying, is the support Hello support on the website? Yeah, if you go onto the website, obviously that has been brand new and refreshed. I'm super proud, as it's been a huge amount of work from the community team and the marketing team to get that all refreshed. I hope that you guys have been enjoying the refresh of the website. Maybe head down to the very bottom. There is a button that says Get Support. That will take you to our support website so that you can get any support you need, whether that's just individually or there are sort of wider issues in the game that you want to report. That's a great place for you to go. But I do want to give a big shout out to the website, because it was a huge amount of work from everybody on the marketing team and the community team to get that updated. And it now means that we're able to do more dev briefs, more community blogs as well. So be sure to head over there. And I also want to give a shout out as well that if you are a member of the community that is a content creator or likes to do live streaming or shorts on TikTok, we are opening up the War Correspondent application form again. Head over to the website, to the community section, and we do now have the War Correspondent application form open. So I will drop a link in chat in a second so that if any of you are interested, you can head over there. But we're going to be going on to our next question here, and this is just a question regarding the they said that from Raiden XS, who just asked about controller customization. Is that something that's maybe a possibility, or are you guys going to be sticking with what it is at the moment?
Again, there's no coder here to say no to me. So, I think, like, I read a lot of feedback about controller customization. I'm quite surprised that that isn't a thing already, if I'm being honest. I think it's a great quality of life feature to add to our list. So I would say I think we should try it. I think we need to try it because it's such a great thing to have.
Since there's no coder here, I'll be sensible and say we will scope out the work and weigh it up against our available capacity, Mr. Rutter.
That's so diplomatic. Just do it.
So,
It'll be
so
fine.
as a producer here, what I'll also say is there's also platform requirements to certain
Yeah.
things like this when it comes to being able to remap customized controller layouts, and it's something that we do need to consider when we do anything like that. And being the boring person, I'm so sorry. When it comes to platform requirements, we need to be able to take that into consideration as well. It'd be cool. It would be 100% really cool just to be able to choose what button does what. There's just requirements that we need to adhere to as well, which is why you see it a lot really commonly on PC that you can remap just by any key to do whatever you want. A lot more freeing, but on console there's kind of rules that we do need to stick to as well.
Say they call me the fun police. This is what I have to put up with.
Darn production.
And I guess just sort of looking then, as a final question, I think a nice one to sort of finish this one out is just sort of looking forward at sort of the future of the game. Obviously, we've already got a lot of stuff coming. We've got the Stalingrad, as that has been teased by Craig, will be the next update of the ATI, not honesty. But no,
Loose lips, Craig, loose lips.
I'm going to say it's Craig. No, Carl's got away with this one. No, but we are going to be having another update a little bit later on as well. The one following that will be a new Eastern Front map as well, which is going to be very exciting. Are there any just sort of looking forward? I know that there's been lots of questions from the community about new factions and such. Are these things that you guys have thought about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's about time the game had some new factions. I think it's look at Craig smiling.
Look at Craig.
So I can't reveal anything just yet because even I don't know what the final outcome is. 2026 is a big year for Hell Let Loose. I think it's a great opportunity to potentially release a new faction. We haven't had one for a while. Expression/Team 17 haven't released a full brand new faction to the game. We've done the sub factions in the past, so it'll be a great challenge for us to do for 2026 for sure. See, Craig, I didn't say.
I mean, obviously, it's 2026. It's this. A lot of people are. I think this person Raps has said about how will the game only go till 2026. I think, as we all know, we're dedicated to this game. We love Hell Let Loose, and it definitely won't be ending come 2026. We love this game, and it will be continuing to develop. But there's been so many questions here in this chat. There's been so many questions coming in online. I think that is just a lovely point to end this Q&A with some optimism for the future, looking ahead. And I just want to give a massive thanks to yourselves, Craig, James, and Carl for being here, and also Ian for being the most beautiful poster of the Patch 17 Q&A. Thank you, Ian, most of all. I think maybe also everybody who has been here for the stream, tuning in, asking questions. We really appreciate you being here. We are not going to be ending it right now, though. We're going to go to a very quick intermission where I will be getting joined by the Fresh Baked Goods shortly after that to start watching some of the best of the community. Craig, James, and Carl, are you guys going to be sticking around and watching some of these clips?
Yeah, I'll be. But I do want to ask a quick question, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely.
If possible. Did we ever find out who the question was? Who's the hot dev? Because I got a post on Discord got saying, "Can we see more of the hot dev?" And no one has answered who this is.
It's got to be Ian, surely.
Surely it's Ian.
Surely it has to be Ian, right?
Has to be Ian.
I think we need to ask who that is because it's caused like a big ruckus, a big argument in this place.
Honestly, I think it was Chessie. I think I saw Chessie in chat at some point. So we'll have to wait and see. It's Dan. I bet Expression Wilson says.
Oh my god, it could be Dan.
It could be Dan.
Could be Dan, yeah.
I mean, Dan, an icon, might well be him. So we'll have to wait and see. So you guys are going to have to stick around and watch watch the best of the community to see if Chessie does answer. But for now, we are going to go to a very quick intermission. We'll be back very soon with the best of the community. Thank you so much for everybody for sticking around, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.